Okay, good morning. My time shows 11:30, so let's go ahead and get started. My name is Kelly McIntyre, and I am an NBCT in Oregon, and I get the honor of introducing these ladies here. So to my right is Janelle George, and then we have Allison Brown, Tala Manassa, Janella Hines, and then Bernie Bond. And Bernie is going to be giving their bios to these ladies. So thank you, ladies, for coming today.
Thank you. I'm Bernie Bond. I'm the Director of Programs at the Albert Shanker Institute, and I'm going to be moderating these ladies. Just some housekeeping. If anybody is on Twitter, we are using the hashtag Fair and Effective, and then of course that's the Teaching and Learning Conference hashtag. So thank you for coming. One of the reasons that this panel is named the Fairness and Effectiveness in School Discipline is because those two concepts have often been played out as in opposition to each other in schools. We want to make sure that with the strict adherence to the rules of behavior and swift punishment for any who break them, that would be effective or fair, giving every benefit of the doubt to the point of pandemonium. But we know now that that is a false dichotomy, according to researchers and the National Association of School Psychologists has written, quote, "Research repeatedly has demonstrated that suspension, expulsion, and other punitive consequences are not the solution to dangerous and disruptive student behaviors. In fact, evidence indicates that dangerous students do not become less dangerous to others when they are excluded from appropriate school settings," unquote. To the contrary, there is evidence that they become more so. Youth who are not in school and not in the labor force are at exceedingly high risk of delinquency and crime. So that is, zero tolerance policies, though well-intentioned, turn out to be a bad idea, not only because they were implemented in a discriminatory fashion, but also because they turn out to be ineffective. In other words, just suspending misbehaving students is very bad, but ignoring rampant misbehavior is also very bad. So what do? We have a great panel here today that's going to talk about some of the problems and solutions. I'm going to read bios as they are going to speak, and then we'll turn over the floor. So first, we have Janelle George. She is the Senior Education Policy Counsel at the NAACP Legal Defense and Education Fund, where she uses legislative and policy advocacy to promote racial justice and equal opportunity. Ms. George also works closely with the Dignity in Schools campaign to promote positive and inclusive school discipline policies and to curb the use of exclusionary and overly punitive disciplinary practices that fuel the school-to-prison pipeline and limit educational opportunities for all students. Prior to joining the LDF, Ms. George served for half a decade as legislative counsel and legislative assistant to a senior senator and junior member of the House of Representatives. In her roles, Ms. George managed education, healthcare, judiciary, and other domestic policy issues. Next, we're going to hear from Allison Brown, who is a program officer with the U.S. Programs Equality Fund of the Open Societies Foundations, where she focuses on issues of racial justice. Prior to joining the foundations, Ms. Brown was president of Allison Brown Consulting, ABC, and host of the online radio show Know It All, the ABCs of Education. She also worked as a trial attorney with the U.S. Justice Department in the Educational Opportunities section of the Civil Rights Division, where she helped coordinate efforts to combat the school-to-prison pipeline. Tala Manassa is Deputy Executive Director of the Morningside Center for Teaching Social Responsibility, a national leader in school-based social and emotional learning programs. The center works for a society that is just, peaceful, and truly democratic by working in schools hand in hand with educators to make schools joyful, productive spaces where young people develop a rigorous sense of social responsibility. Under her leadership, Morningside Center has undertaken the largest school-based expansion of restorative practices in the U.S. As of March 2014, the program had worked with educators from 150 middle schools and high schools throughout New York City. She was also recently invited by New York City Mayor Bill de Blasio's office to join the administration's leadership team on school climate and discipline. And last but not least, we'll hear from Janella Hines, who is the Vice President for Academic High Schools at the United Federation of Teachers in New York City, the nation's largest local union. She brings a wealth of experience in both education and labor to this work, serving as the Secretary-Treasurer of the New York City Central Labor Council, an umbrella labor organization that represents 1.3 million workers in about 400 public and private sector unions. From 1996 to 2004, she served as a social studies teacher, dean, student council advisor, and conflict resolution specialist at G.W. Wingate and South Shore High Schools and the School for International Studies. From 2004 to 2006, she also served as the public policy director for the New York State AFL-CIO. And I will turn over the floor to them, and there will be time for discussion and Q&A at the end.